Hello everyone, Muffin here. Just gonna go over the complete guide to the Vaal Absolution Guardian for 3.22. That's Trial of the Ancestors League. The main idea of this build, I like minion builds. I think they're fun. And for a while it seemed like GGG was just nerfing minions over and over and over and over, and it got harder and harder to make a minion build that does everything you want to do, doing the challenges and everything like that. But with the new changes to Guardian, I made a build, and this build is pretty solid. The Guardian changes themselves are really solid. They make leveling super easy, and they are really great. Do plan on making updates and stuff as these come out, so people who really like it can continue to like it in future patches. It's definitely something that you could stick with from league start, day one, all the way until the end, whenever you're done playing the league and you're waiting for the next league to come out. We're going to go ahead and go into it, but as I start here, if you're new to the channel, please thumbs up it, like the video, subscribe, and if you really enjoy it, you can go on to my Twitch, follow, hit that notification button so you see when I come on, and see some of the other builds I'm working on in the future as well. So we're going to start with the build basics. What really makes this build work? So the first thing that really makes this build work, one thing that is required, you don't have to have it right when you start mapping, but whenever you get to your red tier maps and you're trying to do harder content, you're definitely going to need it, and that is Doriani's prototype, the main armor of the build, and is unique. So what that armor does, you deal no non-lightning damage, which, whatever. Your armor also applies to lightning damage taken from hits. Lightning resistance does not affect lightning damage taken. And the main thing here is nearby enemies have lightning resistance equal to yours. So instead of doing elemental damage and trying to get that elemental pen and everything that many of the other builds have, we're just using this, and everyone around us, no matter what their resistances are, equal what we say it is. So we can get our lightning resistance to -200, then everything around us has -200 lightning resistance. So even whenever it comes up to map mods where it says like enemies have plus 30% elemental resistances and blah 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 blah, with this on it, that's irrelevant. They come near us, they're at -200 lightning resistance, and boom, our Absolution Sentinels just started zapping all over the place. It's the main thing that makes this build work. The other thing that makes this build work are the new Guardian nodes. We'll go over them in order and stuff later on, but the first and most important one here, I think, is the Radiant Crusade one. That's the one that gives you a level 20 Sentinel of Radiance skill. That node itself makes leveling this build super easy. That minion basically has an RF and it scales with you onto a certain level, and that certain level is when you're in maps. So from the time you finish the first Ascendancy till the time that you're in maps, this dude's just walking around, basically has RF going all the time, takes 20% of the damage that you take, much like Mind over Mana, and he's just walking around killing things by itself. So even if you don't have all the greatest support gems going on, it's already helping you. The next one is the Unwavering Crusade node. The Unwavering Crusade node gives you 3 summon elemental relics whenever you kill stuff or hitting a rare unique enemy. Those are giving you 3 level 27 auras that most other people are trying to stick into their build to do more damage. But now, all your minions got those 3 auras all the time. Makes it insane. But the new Guardian Ascendancy nodes and Doriyami's prototype, those are the things that make this build work. So, going over gear real quick while you're running around. There's a POB. It has some basic gear. It has some endgame-ish gear. It has all sorts of information in there. We're going to go over here as well. What you're going to be aiming for once you get into maps is a convening or convoking one. Convoking one is a little higher, but convening one requires less to be able to equip. Ultimately, you're going to want to add +1 level to all minion skill gems and +1 level to all spell skill gems. That's going to give you Absolution +2 already. You're going to want to put on there minions deal increased damage as high as you can get. Obviously, get them more damage. And the really important thing you need to get on there is the trigger a socketed spell when you use a skill. It's better if you can naturally get it on an unveil, but that is an unveil mod you can craft onto wands, and that itself is going to allow you to just have 3 of your skills constantly going off and taken care of for you. And those ones are Flesh Offering, Assassin's Mark, and your Desecrate. So your Desecrate's always going to be popping up corpses around you. Your Assassin's Mark is going to be marking your enemies. And your Flesh Offering is going to be popping those corpses to give your minions more of a bonus. And all of those are happening all the time. You don't have to click any buttons. You're just going on, they're done. Next thing, again, we're going to Doriyami's prototype. We already talked about it. You're going to want to get it. The shield you're going to use, I recommend the Surrender. Now, you can go with a rare shield that gives you life on block plus minion gems if you want, but the Surrender really just gives us a lot of benefits and survivability. So we're going to be maxing out block, and with this, you're going to be blocking all the time, and you're just going to be auto-recovering your HP as you go along, as things hit you, as you're blocking, boom. It gives a lot of armor, and it's just overall really nice quality of life piece of equipment. Next, we have left the helmet, gloves, and boots. So one of the things you're going to want on these, some spell suppression. Spell suppression is always nice. The more you have, the better it's going to be for your effective hit points, especially going in through the maps. The helmet, you can do one of 2 options. All right, you can get an Arch Demon Crown, which I recommend starting off in that range, because it gives you -10 to all of your resistances. And whereas fire and cold, obviously we want those higher. The lightning one, remember, we want to get as low as we can. So it gives us another -10. There's just more, it's pushing down, it's less resistances all of our enemies are going to have. The other helmet that we can get is just basic Bone Helm with plus minion skill gems and some reservation efficiency in it. Either way, it's going to be a good helmet. Either way will work. The Searing Exarch and the Eater of Worlds implicits are really nice if you don't end up using the Archdemon Crown with minus resistances. As far as gloves go, you're going to be looking for 4 things with the gloves. Spell suppression, life, resistances, if you still need them, and minions deal increased damage. Really simple gloves to get. Get as much of all of those as you can. Boom. The boots of the build. I recommend you go for 100% chance to avoid being shocked on your boots. Then you can just get a simple Storm Shot Jewel, and that will make you immune to all elemental ailments. Increase your survivability like crazy. It's especially good with all that shocked and everything. Then on top of that, of course, you're going to want movement speed, you're going to want your resistances, you're going to want your life. Same basic things you're going to be looking for most builds, right? That covers our main slots. Now, if we go over to our belt, you're going to want to go eventually to a Stygian Vice, obviously, with life and resistances. If you need more stats, like strength or intelligence, try to shove them in there as well. But with the Stygian Vice, we can always get some nice ghastly eye jewels and just keep augmenting from there. As far as your rings, there's really only one good option for you. Ventor's Gamble. You're going to want 2 of them. Okay? So Ventor's Gamble, it has that wide range of stats for every one of these items. Obviously, you're going to want positive rarity, positive life, positive quantity, positive fire, and cold resistance. But whenever it comes to lightning, as far low as you can get that number while still meeting all your resistances, that's going to want you wet. And the cool thing about the Ventor's Gambles is whenever you start throwing prismatic catalyst on them, it actually decreases how much lightning resistance you have as well. So it just keeps going negative and helps you get closer and closer to that minus 200%. As far as an amulet, starting off, you can just get an amulet that has stats and your +1 to all spells or +1 to all minions. And then as you're going on, you want to eventually make it a transition into Ashes of the Stars. I know they're quite expensive at the beginning of the league, so you can ride the other one for a while. But eventually you're going to only go Ashes of the Stars so that you can get +1 to everything and the quality of all your gems. Because a lot of them are alternate variants, and that quality is really important. As well, it gives you that increased reservation efficiency. So you get to run an extra R in there as well. So Ashes of the Stars really is going to be the way to go. Now, whenever we go jewels, there are a couple unique jewels that you're going to want to slowly build to. You don't have to start with them whenever you're leveling or whenever you're just getting into maps. Each of these jewels increase the build in some way. So you can just take baby steps while you're doing it, while you're doing a league start. All right, the first one, we have the Red Nightmare. With all the tattoos this league and everything, the Red Nightmare is just too nice not to have, right? So there's a particular node on the tree right here, and with that node, there's so many strength nodes around it, and we have the additional elemental resistances here with the shield nodes, and we just start throwing in fire resistances in there, and we can get our block rate really high. It's really easy for only 1 jewel slot. Now, the Impossible Escape, that allows us to allocate passives around Imbalanced Guard. That is mostly to increase the maximum resistances of our resistances. This one is going to be quite expensive, so build towards it. You don't have to have it right away. Okay? A lot of people, especially in white, yellow maps, I mean, as long as your resistances are capped at 75, should be okay. Molding of the Flesh. That's another jewel, and the minus to all resistances actually helps us. So a lot of times that's thought of as a negative component to the jewel, minus 80% to all resistances. And we're like, because then you have to build through it. Yeah, with the fire and cold resistances, you do have to build up and rebuild those up to the cap. However, with your lightning, you want the lightning resistance as low as possible. So the additional minus 80, that's also minus 80 to everyone around you's lightning resistance. And then the minus to all maximum elemental resistances, you want to try to get that as low as possible. Of course, like always, that's secondary stat. You can go for a cheap one that's like 75 and 5. Those ones aren't going to be very expensive and slotted in there. Of course, eventually you're going to want to go and get the lower number for the maximum elemental resistances, but you can start with a non-perfect roll one quite easily, and it will still work for the build. Now, we do have a Thread of Hope with a very large ring that you can get that from regular Cirrus, and this build can do Cirrus quite nicely, actually. And that just helps us save a lot of passive skill points there. That's what it does. Once you have a thread of hope, you can start moving those passive points to where you need them, like in the cluster jewels and so on. And it's really a nice quality of life. It's not too expensive, and your build can do serious if you're doing this build. You just need to make sure you know the mechanics and make sure to react appropriately. But you can do it, no problem. We have your Watcher's Eye Jewel. Every build eventually is going to want to end up getting a Watcher's Eye Jewel. And the ones that I recommend getting are more armor for determination, just because it increases our overall armor. Effects of concentrated ground linger whenever you have Zealotry on. Zealotry is going to be one of our main auras that we do run. So it lingers, and as well, once we have Bottled Faith, which we'll go over in a second, it's all going to linger for longer than normal, giving you more benefits and hindering your enemies more. And then as for the third one, is not too incredibly important, but if you can get one with a third one, just make sure it helps your build with one of the R's that you are running. So Determination or Zealotry would be probably the better ones to choose from. We do have Forbidden Flame and Forbidden Flesh, and that right there is giving us Augury of Penitence. That one just makes all the enemies take more elemental damage. It's really a no-brainer if we are playing Templar. We want to get that in there, get all of our enemies to be taking more damage all the time. It's just a nice one to have, period. We do use 2 large cluster jewels in this one, and what I recommend is having one of them with 25 or 35% increased effect, so that your minions are doing even more damage, along with cast speed for your minions, and then the other one getting the notables on them. And the main thing about the notables we want to make sure is that you have 2 of them at least, and that's Renewal and Call to Slaughter. You're going to get the most benefit from both of those. Now, we do have a third one on here for the one I'm recommending, but that's just to push those first 2 down, so they're using less passive skill points to get them, and we're not going all the way around this one, so it's fine to have that useless notable up there. If you're with the Stygian Vice, and that's where I'm going to go over, assuming that you have Stygian Vice, okay? So you're going to want your Life Flask that can give you immunity to Bleeding, Corrupting Blood, and I recommend 3 utility flasks: a Granite Flask that's 1500 armor that increases your armor further, a Basalt Flask with 20% more armor, and a Quartz Flask, which gives you both phasing and more spell suppression, and one unique flask, and that's Bottled Faith. Not only is the concentrated ground helping us regen, it has triple radius, which is amazing, and enemies that are on the concentrated ground take more damage, so we're increasing the damage they take even further. Now we're going to go into the gems and the links. Our main gem and our main link set is Absolution, Vaal Absolution with Awakened Spell Echo, Awakened Control Destruction, Awakened Minion Damage, Awakened Elemental Focus, and Physical to Lightning. Now, of course, all 4 of those that I said Awaken for, you can start with the regular gems and work your way up to the Awakened version. That's completely fine. So we have Determination, we have Zealotry, and we have Defiance Banner. Right? We're taking care of our defenses, which are armor. And then we also have Tempest Shield as well, to help us with our block even further. Divergent Animate Guardian, your Raised Spectre, and would support them both with a Meat Shield and Minion Life. Give them more life so they are around longer, and try to keep them close to you. Our guard and movement skills, we are going to have Vaal Molten Shell. I recommend having Molten Shell on your left click, so when you're moving around, it just auto casts. As far as our movement abilities, our primary one is Shield Charge. So I was actually talking to a lot of people in Global, and they were arguing whether to use Flame Dash or Flashbang as movement. I say Frostblink is nice, and Flame Dash is nice. Flame Dash is great for leveling, but Shield Charge, Whirling Blades, and Leap are just unparalleled with moving across maps. So Shield Charge, there's no delay with it. So whenever you're hitting it, you're just zipping around the map. So our Shield Charge is going to be our main movement ability, our getting around the map ability. We also have Frostblink, and that's because Frostblink is instant. It is a true teleport. You can be casting something, hit Frostblink, move instantly. There's no delay. We utilize a cast while stunned support. The name is a little deceiving, right? It's not just whenever you get stunned that it casts, but it's also whenever you block a hit that would have stunned you. With ours having our block all the way up at max, we're going to be blocking all the time. So with that, we're going to be linking our Summon Carrion Golem and our Convocation Gem. So a Convocation Gem, its primary thing is to bring all of our minions back to us. The Sentinels from your Ascendancy move very slow. So if you don't have something like Convocation, they're going to be way back a screen, maybe 2 screens, and not helping you. As well, the Spectres, which we'll go over here in a second, they have a certain proximity that you want the rest of your minions inside of. So going around, and every couple seconds, it's just auto-casting Convocation. It's auto-bringing all of your minions back to you and getting everyone to synergize. And then our other one, like I said, Summon Carrion Golem, it increases the amount of physical damage all of your other minions do. Now, of course, we're not going for physical damage, but remember, we also have that physical to lightning support. So it's increasing the amount of physical damage that all of your Sentinels are doing, and that is being converted into lightning, so all of your minions are doing even more damage. Now, we were just talking about the Anime Guardian and Raised Spectre. For Raised Spectre, you're going with 3 main Spectres. One of them, Baron Knight Cleric. It's from Baron Maps. They actually have this neat little thing here on them, this blue circle. It kind of looks like a Righteous Fire ring, but that's actually an aura. Anyone that's standing in it does increased physical to lightning as well. So on top of the physical to lightning support, this ring here is going to increase it even further. The next one you're going to want is the Arena Master, and that's from Drox Maps. So we have 2 of them now that are from Conquerors. But the Arena Masters give a buff to you and your minions that give plus 20% damage, attack, cast, and move speed. Now, it's not up all the time, but when it is up, it's a nice buff. And the third Spectre we're going to want is the Primal Rex Matriarch. That is a harvest mob. So the Primal Rex Matriarch actually does a screech that makes enemies take 40% more lightning damage for 4 seconds, and they can cast it every 8 seconds. As far as our Animated Guardian, there's 2 weapons you can use, either Dying Breath or Kingmaker. Dying Breath is the more budget version, but eventually you're going to want to go up to a Kingmaker. It just helps with survivability for both you and your Spectre. We have Learcast as our helmet. Increases the damage everyone is doing, gives them a nice little aura. We have Growth Goal's Pelt for the body armor. That is for our Anime Guardian survivability. For the gloves, I have Ceaseless Feast. It's a free way to help debuff your enemies with corrosion. And then on our boots, we have Infinite Pursuit. With the Infinite Pursuit Greaves, it will help your Anime Guardians stay alive longer. So your Ascendancies, your first Ascendancy you're going to want to get is the Radiant Crusade. The next one we're going to want to get is our Unwavering Crusade. And that's the one that gives us the 3 Summon Elemental Relics. And you can have all 3 of them up at the same time. The third one that I would grab would be the Bastion of Hope. So if you've attacked recently, you and nearby allies have 25% chance to block attack damage. Shield Charge is an attack. So just by moving around, you always have an additional 25% chance to block attack damage. And then whenever you've cast a spell recently, you and nearby allies get 25% chance to block spell damage. Absolution is a spell. So the 2 things you're always doing throughout any map are constantly giving you those bonuses, and are constantly giving all of your allies those bonuses as well. The last one you would get from your Uber Lab, Time of Need. Every 4 seconds, remove curses and elemental ailments from you. And then every 4 seconds, regenerate 100% of life over 1 second. Next, looking at the skill tree, In the EOB, it is going to have a leveling progression of the tree so that you can follow it along while you're going through the axe and hopefully stay alive and get through it as easy as possible. In the end, this is overall what your tree is going to look like. The build is both up here in this guide on YouTube and it is on the Path of Exile forums. Yeah, pretty solid build. You can start it from League start. You can keep upgrading it through all the way through red maps, all the way through doing all of your 40 challenges. It's an incredibly useful build and it's incredibly versatile. Minions are back. New Guardian Ascendancy is great. That's the main thing to take away from here. But thank you so much for watching the video. Really appreciate you all. Please press subscribe. Please like the video. And please check out the Twitch channel. And follow for some more Path of Exile content and some more content of other games.